UFC 281 is here, and I'm going to be breaking down all fights on this card. We're going to go from the early prelims to the main card to the main event. And yeah, I'm going to give detailed predictions, break down who I think will win the fight. Most of them will be how I think will win. And yeah, that's what we're going to go to. If you want to join my Tapology group, you can go ahead and do that. It will be a link in the description. You just have to make an account, join the group. And you can see the picks that I make, picks other people make, and I might make a couple posts in there if we have enough people inside the group. So without further ado, let's get on to the first fight of this card. I'm super excited for it. We got UFC 280, and then we got this one. UFC 280 was a little iffy. I guess the fights weren't too crazy. My picks went the other way, and I feel like the same thing could probably happen on this card. A lot of my picks could go the other way, which is what happens when you make a really good card. It's super competitive matchups. But for the first fight, I'm pretty confident in this one. Carlos Ulberg versus Nicolae Negumereanu. One that will definitely get you canceled if you say his name wrong. 6-1, Carlos Ulberg, 31 years of age and 77 inches of reach. Nicolae Negumereanu, 13-1, 28 years of age and 78 inches of reach. I think I'm going to go with Carlos Ulberg in this matchup. I think he's actually looked pretty impressive as of late. His only loss was against Kennedy Nzechukwu. And then his last couple of performances, he's looked pretty impressive. Trains with City Kickboxing with Adesanya and Volkanovski and everything like that. Nicolae Negumereanu just beat Ihor Potieria. Got him out of there, standing TKO. Pretty much was dominant for most of the fight, but did get cracked with a couple good shots. Did beat Kennedy Nzechukwu. I can't say that dude's name to save my life, which Ulberg did lose to, but I think Ulberg has looked a lot more impressive. He was winning that fight before he did get caught. Was kind of gassed in that fight. I do think he will be able to win this fight. I think he's super technical and will get the job done. So I'm going to go with Carlos Ulberg, probably by decision. Maybe he gets the TKO, but I definitely think it will probably be a decision in this matchup. Up the card, we have Julio Arce versus Montel Jackson. Arce, 18-5, 33 years of age and 70 inches of reach. Montel Jackson, 11-2, 30 years of age and 75.5 inches of reach. Montel Jackson will have a 5.5 inch reach advantage in this matchup. I am going to go with Montel Jackson. I just think he's super lengthy, has some pretty big hands, will be able to hurt Julio Arce quite a bit in this matchup. I think Julio Arce likes to stay out of range a little bit and then enter to throw his strikes, but I do think that Montel Jackson will be able to catch him like he did against Jesse Strader, who kind of had like a similar strategy. Julio Arce, I think, is a little bit better than him, but I think just like Jesse Strader, he's able to catch him in this matchup. So I'm going to go with Montel Jackson with a first round or second round TKO. Up the card, we have Mike Trizano versus Seung Choi. 9-3, Mike Trizano, 30 years of age and 71 inches of reach. Seung Choi, 10-5, 30 years of age and 74.5 inches of reach. Seung Choi will have a 3.5 inch reach advantage in this matchup. I am going to go with Seung Choi. I think Mike Trizano is a little too stationary for what I'm comfortable with. For Seung Choi's last fight against Joshua Kleebau, I think Kleebau is a little bit more shifty and throws punches from like a little bit weirder angles. For Trizano, it just seems like he kind of just stays stationary too much, and I think Seung Choi is going to be able to mess him up quite a bit. In his last couple matchups for Mike Trizano, he lost to Lucas Almeida, left hook to ground strikes, and Hakeem Dawodu by decision. I just think Seung Choi is just going to be able to catch him, maybe KO him in the first or second round in this matchup. That's what I'm going to go with. Seung Choi by a first or second round TKO, just like kind of how Trizano got caught in his last fight versus Lucas Almeida. I just think it'll be a little bit too easy for Seung Choi to hit Mike Trizano in this matchup, so that's why I'm going to go with him. Up the card, we have Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Oh my goodness, I'm going to struggle with those. Versus Silvana Gomez Juarez. Kowalkiewicz, 13-7, 37 years of age and 64 inches of reach. Silvana Gomez Juarez, oh my goodness, 11-4, 37 years of age and 63 inches of reach. Kowalkiewicz will have a 1 inch reach advantage in this matchup. I am going to go with Silvana Gomez Juarez in this fight. I just think she's too powerful. Will be able to catch Karolina Kowalkiewicz on the feet. and avoid the takedowns early. She doesn't have horrible takedown defense. I think she's going to be able to defend those takedowns and KO Kowalkiewicz pretty badly. So I would say around like a first round KO, if not maybe early second round, but I do think first round KO probably makes sense. Up the card, we have Ottman Azaitar versus Matt Frevola. Azaitar 13-0, 32 years of age and 71 inches of reach. Frevola 9-3, 32 years of age and 72 inches of reach. Will have a 1-inch reach advantage in this fight. For me, I'm going to go with Ottman Azaitar in this fight. I think his power is just absolutely insane. In his last fight 2 years ago against Kamar, was it Kamar Worthy? Or it was Timu, what was it? I think it was Timu Pakalana. I don't know how to say his name, but it was absolutely brutal KO. Probably like one of the most insane ones I've seen with the leg twitch. Anyways, he just has some absolutely insane power. We've seen Matt Frevola get knocked out by Terrence McKinney in 7 seconds. I think it's one of the fastest KOs in the lightweight division. If not the fastest, I'm not sure off the top of my head. But I do think this will probably be a scrap, but I am going to go with Ottman Azaitar, even though he has been out for 2 years, which is a little worrying. I'm assuming he's probably made some advancements in his game. Frevola's a pretty solid fighter, but I am going to go Azaitar. I just think his power is just absolutely crazy. Is going to be able to endure some of Frevola's strikes and win the fight. So I'm going to go with Ottman Azaitar by KO. Second round KO for Ottman Azaitar. Up the card, we have Andre Petrosky versus Wellington Turman. Petrosky 9-1, 31 years of age, 73 inches of reach. Wellington Turman 18-5, 26 years of age and 72 inches of reach. Petrosky will have a 1-inch reach advantage in this matchup. I am going to go with Petrosky. I think he does have a little bit better stand-up in this fight. I think he's stocky. If you've seen like the way he's built, he's pretty stocky he's a pretty heavy dude, pretty stocky fella. So I think he is going to be able to avoid some of those takedowns, and I think he is a better wrestler and a better grappler. He was able to choke out Maximov in his fight, which is pretty impressive. Maximov's a pretty solid wrestler himself. Did get cut. I don't know why they cut him, but I guess I know why Nate Diaz. But yeah, I think he's going to be able to hang in here. I can see this going to a decision. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to a decision. But I think the fight that he did against Nick Maximov, I believe he beat, was it Phil? I want to say Phil Haas in a grappling match, which was pretty impressive also. So I'm going to go with Andre Petrosky. I just think he's the better wrestler and grappler. I do think it will go to a decision. Up the card, we have Erin Blachfield versus Molly McCann. Blachfield, 9-1, 23 years of age and 68 inches of reach. McCann, 13-4, 32 years of age and 62 inches of reach. Erin Blachfield will have a 6-inch reach advantage in this fight, which is pretty good, pretty sizable reach advantage in this matchup. For this fight, I am going to go with Erin Blachfield. I do think she's the way better wrestler in this matchup. She's actually a pretty good fighter, only 23 years of age also. So I think she will be able to improve. 4 months ago was her last fight against JJ Aldridge. Was able to out-grapple Miranda Maverick. Looked pretty good in that fight. Miranda Maverick has been out-wrestling everybody in that division. All the people that she fought. One against, what's her name? Macy Barber. One against Macy Barber that I thought she definitely won. Probably definitely a really bad robbery. For McCann, though, she's a good striker. I kind of want to see how she is. She's not with Patty this week on this card. She's not going to be in overseas in London or the UK. I kind of want to see how the US reacts to her. If she's definitely one of those people where I feel like she goes with the crowd. One of those like Frank the Train. They go with the crowd. The crowd kind of gives them the energy and riles them up, and they're able to perform a lot better. She did win in the Apex, but I do think that's the kind of fighter she is. I wonder if she'll have that kind of pop in the US. It would be a good thing to see what kind of star power she does have in the US. But I do think she just gets out wrestled in this matchup. There are openings where she can exploit, where you could say like, oh, she can knock out Erin Blachfield, but this is a super hard matchup for her to win. Erin Blachfield is just so dominant in wrestling. I'm gonna go with Erin Blachfield, a sizable favorite too in this matchup. So yeah, I'm going to go Erin Blachfield by decision. Up the card, we have Dominick Reyes versus Ryan Spann. Reyes, 12-3, 32 years of age and 77 inches of reach. Ryan Spann, 20-7, 31 years of age and 81.5 inches of reach, will have a 4.5-inch reach advantage in this matchup. For this one, I am going to go Dominick Reyes, but I am a little bit worried about the pick. He hasn't fought since getting almost murdered in the octagon. Pretty solid assassination attempt from Yuri, but it didn't work out. Year and a half ago, so he's been recovering quite a bit, which is one of those knockouts where you're like, okay, I want to see how he looks when he comes back. Another one of those fights with the John Jones effects where he lost, and he lost to John Jones and then just lost his next 2 fights after that. Obviously, with some good competition there with Jan Blachowicz and Yuri Prochazka, 2 former light heavyweight champs. But yes, I'm going to go with Dominick Reyes in this matchup. I am not confident in Ryan Spann either. I just think he's a little iffy, a little inconsistent quite a bit. You can see with his matchups, he's 1-1, lose 1, 1-1, lose 1. But yeah, I'm going to go with Dominick Reyes. I think he's just going to be faster on the feet and be able to outstrike Ryan Spann. Maybe take him out of there in like the 2nd or 3rd round. But yeah, I'm going to go Dominick Reyes. But I am a little worried to see what he looks like when he does come back. See how he is in the octagon, what he might look like. He's still pretty young, 32 years of age, almost 33, but that's the most important thing that I'm looking for. If he loses this, it's because he's not the same guy that he was before, and it'll be very rough to watch, but I'm going to go Dominick Reyes. It's definitely a little bit more comfortable of a pick because I just don't trust Ryan Spann at all. Up the card, we have Renato Moicano versus Brad Riddell. Moicano, 16-5, 33 years of age, 72 inches of reach. Riddell, 10-3, 31 years of age and 71.5 inches of reach. He will have I guess Renato Moicano will have a half-inch reach advantage in this matchup. I am going to go with Riddell in this match. I think his buddy Rafael Fiziev, they're both at Tiger Muay Thai, and Fiziev was able to get Moicano out of the fight. I do think Riddell will be able to take out Renato Moicano in this fight. Also, he took tons of damage in his last fight against Rafael dos Anjos, and that he pretty much got battered the whole time. They probably could have argued to end it a little bit sooner than it did, but yeah, I'm gonna go Brad Riddell. I'm a lot more comfortable with him on the feet, 100%. They trained at the same gym, him and Rafael Fiziev, and Fiziev was able to get him out of there in the first round. They're obviously not the same caliber of kickboxer, but I do think Brad Riddell will be able to get him out of there. Does have a good gym behind him, also a city kickboxing. Up the card, we have Dan Hooker versus Claudio Puelles. Hooker, 21-12, 32 years of age and 75.5 inches of reach. Puelles, 12-2, 26 years of age and 72 inches of reach. Dan Hooker will have a 3.5-inch reach advantage in this matchup. I am going to go with Dan Hooker. I'm not confident in it at all. I think this could go either way. I think Tapology has it pretty much the same. I think probably 55% Claudio Puelles. But yeah, I'm just 100% not committing to either guy, except for I am, because I have to make a pick. But I am going to go with Dan Hooker. I think he's going to be able to defend the takedowns. He didn't really have like a training camp to defend Islam Makhachev's takedowns. He was fighting Nasrat Haqparast where he's offensively wrestling, but defensive wrestling, especially against a guy with Sambo and Islam Makhachev, wasn't able to defend the takedowns. But Claudio Puelles does have some good takedowns. I'm a little worried about him on the feet, which is why I see Dan Hooker winning this matchup. Dan Hooker's a pretty tough dude, pretty durable guy. Could Dan Hooker get taken down all of a sudden, pinned against the cage, damage there, taken down, and then submitted? Yeah, I could definitely see it 100% from Claudio Puelles, but even at a reach disadvantage, I'm going to go for Puelles. I'm going to go Dan Hooker by a decision in this matchup. I think both guys are pretty solidly durable, and Hooker's just going to be able to outstrike him on the feet. Could Hooker get a TKO? I think he might be able to in like the third round, but yeah, I'm a little bit more comfortable on Hooker in this matchup, even though he's had a rough couple of matchups for sure. Lost to Dustin Poirier, which is a fine loss. Michael Chandler is a fine loss. Also did get KO'd in that one, which is pretty insane, especially for a guy like Hooker getting dropped like that. Nasrat Haqparast, he was able to win that, immediately went to Islam Makhachev and lost, and then went down to 145, which he thought for some reason was a good decision, and fought a guy like Arnold Allen, which is absolutely insane also. But I'm going to go Dan Hooker. I just think tougher competition. I think he's still got a little bit. He's 32 years of age still. It's not like his chin went. But 26-year-old Claudio Puelles, I just don't think he's ready to fight a guy like Dan Hooker and win that matchup. So I'm going to go Dan Hooker by either a third round TKO or a decision. Probably a decision will be likely. Up the card, we have Frankie Edgar versus Chris Gutierrez. Edgar, 24-10, 41 years of age and 68 inches of reach. Gutierrez, 18-3, 31 years of age and 67 inches of reach. Edgar will have a 1-inch reach advantage in this matchup. For Edgar, this is definitely his retirement fight. I think he announced it. But I think this is a solid fight for him, actually. I think he has a pretty good chance of winning this one. I actually am going to go with Edgar. I think he is an underdog in this matchup if I am not wrong, but I'm pretty sure he is an underdog. I think Azaitar is an underdog also. I think I choose a couple other ones before that too. But for this one, I think Edgar will be able to out-wrestle Chris Gutierrez, and I just don't see, like in Frankie Edgar's last fight against Marlon Vera like a year ago, actually in Madison Square Garden too, right? A year ago against Marlon Vera, he was actually winning that fight all the way up to, I think he got flatlined, or it wasn't necessarily a flatline, but KO'd. He was definitely winning that fight all the way up there. Could have split rounds, but definitely I thought was 2-0. Got annihilated by Corey Sandhagen and then kind of won against Pedro Munoz, but I'm not sure about that one either. But I think he will be able to out-wrestle Chris Gutierrez, and I just don't know if Chris Gutierrez will be able to get him out of there before he goes to wrestle, which is basically what it is. How I'm analyzing this fight. But I am going to go Frankie Edgar by decision. He's going to be able to out-wrestle Chris Gutierrez, retire in peace, and not, get knocked out on his way out, which is a good thing because we do not want to see something like that, especially to one of the legends. Except for if you're fighting Marlon Vera, he just doesn't care. He just wants to see your carcass, I guess. But, I'm going to go Frankie Edgar by decision. Up the card, we have Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler. Poirier, 28-7, 33 years of age and 73 inches of reach. Michael Chandler, 23-7, 36 years of age and 71.5 inches of reach. Dustin Poirier will have a 1.5-inch reach advantage in this matchup. For Michael Chandler, his last few fights, not in Bellator, but in the UFC, one against Dan Hooker on his debut, KO'd him. Charles Oliveira was looking super good in that fight, pretty much one up to where he got KO'd. Justin Gaethje, pretty competitive fight for most of the fight. Third round, he kind of got away with it, got too excited, whatever. Was enjoying the moment of, getting hit so much. For Tony Ferguson, got knocked down early in that fight and came back and brutally knocked him out in the second round, which was brutal to watch. For Dustin Poirier, lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov, one against Dan Hooker, one against Conor again, and then lost to Charles Oliveira in his last fight, which was about a year ago. And then Michael Chandler, relatively active because he knows he doesn't have too much left in the tank. Let's be real, he's 36 years of age. We don't know how much he's got left, but probably about 5 months of each piece for each fight, or for at least most of the fights. But this is the matchup I've been kind of dreading to predict, in all honesty. The safe pick here is Dustin Poirier without a doubt, but Michael Chandler could easily win this if he decides to be super strategic about this. Like if he doesn't get caught up in the moment trying to make the crowd cheer and things like that and tries to win this fight, I definitely think he can. But for Dustin Poirier, again, it's Dustin Poirier, one of the best lightweights ever in the UFC. I just think it's super safe to go with Dustin Poirier. Doesn't mean I'm going to choose Michael Chandler, but I'm going to go with Dustin Poirier. It's a safe move here today. Safe move here. I just am not comfortable with choosing Michael Chandler because I just don't know what he's going to try to do. But like he said, he needed a win against Tony Ferguson. He was able to wrestle, which is what he needs to do against Dustin Poirier. Wrestle Dustin Poirier, keep him down there, ground and pound him, grind his way to a decision, or, TKO him or something like that on the ground, or TKO him, tire him out. But Justin Gaethje got too excited there. I think the whole thing, he's like, oh, we're going to impress the fans. We're going to make the fans excited in that matchup. For this one, he needed a win. Got knocked down or stumbled, whatever, wrestled with a guy like Tony Ferguson, who was dangerous off his back and was able to ground and pound him, and eventually got the KO in the second round. But how that fight was going, do we know what the second and third round would have looked like? I'm not quite sure. For Dustin Poirier's fight, Last fight got submitted. Looked pretty well. Looked pretty good in there until he got submitted. Was too comfortable on the ground. I think it was like the second round. He basically just spent the whole round on his back because the whole narrative was like, oh, and Khabib got choked out because he was trying to work, tired himself out and things like that. Eventually got choked out on standing. But for this one, I just can see Dustin Poirier just going out there and just unloading combos on Michael Chandler and TKOing him. But honestly, when I initially thought of this matchup being made or any of Dustin Poirier's matchups being made, I was wondering if there's like any real fire behind him. Is he just trying to do it for money at this point? Is he actually trying to win? Is he actually trying to win the championship? With Islam Makhachev as a champion, like, let's be realistic, I don't think Dustin Poirier wins that matchup either. So does he really want to win? I don't know. This is a very winnable matchup for Dustin Poirier. He can easily KO Michael Chandler in that first round, unload some combos. So I am going to go with Dustin Poirier for that fact. I think he's super solid, has a really good chin. But there's that factor of Michael Chandler where he's super explosive, super powerful, has really good wrestling. I think he will wrestle in this match. Here's the thing. I'm like 75% sure that Michael Chandler will wrestle in this matchup. That 25% chance will get him knocked out, though. That's the thing. And even if he does wrestle, every time the match starts, it's on the feet. So he is going to have to deal with that threat every single time at the beginning of the rounds. Or if Dustin Poirier gets up, he's going to have to deal with that threat. Is he going to gas himself out on the ground? There's all these questions that we need to get answered at this point. Like, why doesn't Chandler go to the ground as much? Is he trying to entertain too much? But a guy explosive like Michael Chandler can easily win this fight, I think. But Dustin Poirier is such a well-rounded, I want to say well-rounded, but such a good fighter. Such really good on the feet, has really good boxing, really good combos, and is super durable with his chin. Michael Chandler, you don't know about the durability there. That's the thing. He's explosive enough to end this fight. That's what worries me about this. Like, I want to choose Michael Chandler. Plus 170 underdog doesn't entice me enough to choose him or predict him for this one. But I'm going to go with Dustin Poirier. How I see Michael Chandler winning the fight, similar to the Tony Ferguson fight, actually. I think there's a way he can knock out Dustin Poirier, in all honesty. But I'm not here to, like, fantasy book it. You know what I mean? But Michael Chandler could take him down and basically just control him for 3 rounds. If I'm going to make my little fantasy book, control him on the ground, wait for Dustin Poirier to get up. And I think Chandler is going to be looking for the punt, by the way. I think 100% we'll see Michael Chandler looking for that front kick. He saw, I feel like he's one of those guys that once he knocked out Tony Ferguson, he kind of fell in love with it a little bit. Even though he's just using it as a wayfinder, I can definitely see him like throwing a couple front kicks and maybe catching Dustin Poirier. You saw Dustin Poirier get knocked out by Michael Johnson, which he got hit pretty hard by Michael Johnson. And I think Chandler could probably do the same thing if Dustin Poirier is not expecting it or isn't ready. He's going to be looking for that front quick kick quite a bit. Oh my goodness, I cannot talk. But I'm going to go with Dustin Poirier. Super, I want to say easy fight to pick, but it's a comfortable pick to make. Now, not comfortable. It's a solid pick to make. Michael Chandler could definitely win this. I would say it's probably a 65-35% chance here. Michael Chandler has the explosiveness, has the power, has the wrestling to win this fight, but does he use it is the big question. Again, I'll reiterate, his last fight, he needed a win against Tony Ferguson, got it, even though it was looking a little iffy. He used his wrestling when he needed the win. He said he wants the championship. He said he doesn't want the money fight with Conor. He wants the championship, so that's what he's going to go for. I definitely see him wrestling here, but it's just the fact that he probably won't that will lean me Dustin Poirier. But Michael Chandler could definitely win this fight, and I would not be mad if he won the fight. I think this is the guy I'll probably be rooting for, but Dustin Poirier is definitely going to win the fight in my eyes because I don't trust Michael Chandler to try, I wouldn't say win the fight, but try and actually go out of his way to, I guess win the fight would be the way to say that, but go out of his way not to entertain and to just try to actually win. You know what I mean? But I'm going to go Dustin Poirier, really comfortable pick. I'm going to be rooting for Chandler. I think he's the bigger star here. I think most money is here to be made with Michael Chandler. And I think Dustin Poirier, he had those 2 title losses third time maybe entice some viewers, but Michael Chandler I think is a little bit more entertaining. Up the card, we have Carla Esparza versus Weili Zhang. Esparza 19-6, 35 years of age and 63 inches of reach. Zhang 22-3, 33 years of age and 63 inches of reach. Will be even in the reach. No reach advantage there. Zhang is the younger fighter though. For this one, I think it's a relatively easy prediction to make here. I'm gonna go Weili Zhang. I think she's too strong. Like if you saw that video with her picking up Francis Ngannou, which is absolutely insane. Even though like the form of it, like it'd be a little bit easier to pick him up. He's still like almost 300 pounds, and you still have to have quite a bit of muscle and quite a bit of strength to pick him up. And the way she won in her last fight against Joanna, I'm not gonna say her last name, and she just looked super strong in there in her first fight. I don't know how much she took her down. I don't know if she was even able to take her down. Joanna was actually able to stuff all of Carla's takedowns, and Zhang was able to just completely ragdoll Joanna in that fight. She's gotten so much stronger. She's such a tough fighter, Weili Zhang is. And Carla Esparza, like, I was at that fight, and oh my goodness, it was rough. Luckily, you had Ferguson getting knocked out, where like my mind wasn't on this fight, and this one was absolutely boring. I just didn't understand what they're trying to do here, to the point where Rose Namajunas has not been seen or made a match for. But yeah, I'm gonna go Weili Zhang. I just think she's just a stronger fighter. Early in Carla's fights, I don't know how comfortable I am with her taking some rounds here, but I think Zhang's gonna be able to get her out of here. I wouldn't say easily, but I think within the first couple rounds, maybe the second round TKO, she's going to be able to take out Esparza. I think Esparza is going to barely be able to survive Weili Zhang. But Carla Esparza will shoot a couple times. I won't be able to get it. Actually, maybe first round. First round, Zhang gets her out of there. Just grounds and pounds her on the ground. Or just completely takes her out on her feet. I don't even know where this goes, but first two rounds is where I would put my money, where I'm putting my money on Weili Zhang. But there's always these kind of fights where you think like, oh my gosh, Weili Zhang should absolutely dominate her, and then Carla Esparza or someone like a Carla Esparza is going to come out of nowhere and just win the fight, just barely. But I am going to go with Weili Zhang. I think this is a super comfortable fight to predict here. But yeah, Weili Zhang, she's got the power in her hands, better striking. And I think she's just stronger, which will be a big influence in this matchup for her winning this match. So yeah, Weili Zhang I'm going to go TKO in the first or second round. Up the card, we have Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. Adesanya 23-1, 33 years of age and 80 inches of reach. Pereira 6-1, 35 years of age and 80 inches of reach. We'll have the exact same reach advantage in this match. Not reach advantage, but reach. So for this matchup, super interesting. One of the bigger matchups of the year. We had some pretty big matchups this year so far. But for this one, I'm going to go with Alex Pereira. I didn't change my prediction from when I did the early prediction, but I will be making videos, by the way, for this week, probably with the Dustin fight, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, and then this fight, doing in-depth, detailed ones. So I'm just going to basically discuss this a little bit. I'm not going to go too in-depth using like different matches and things like that, like I did for the Oliveira Makhachev one, but I am going to do that kind of thing for this one, but I am going to talk about this one for quite a bit. For Alex Pereira's last couple fights, KO win over Sean Strickland, which was brutal. Bruno Silva was able to make a decision, had a little bit of a tough challenge in that one. Bruno Silva looked horrible in his last fight. I don't know what the hell happened to him. I just wanted to reiterate that because that fight pissed me off. Like, how the fuck? How do you lose the GM3 like that? What the hell went on? But Andreas Michailidis KO'd him. Adesanya, last fight, Jared Cannonier, which was a close fight. Robert Whittaker, where I thought Robert Whittaker won, but Robert Whittaker won that fight, I believe. Marvin Vettori, he won that fight without a doubt. Lost to Jan Blachowicz. But I am going to go with Pereira. I think they have similar reach advantage, so Adesanya won't be able to necessarily stay out of range like he is against a guy like Jared Cannonier or Robert Whittaker. What is Jared Cannonier's reach in general? I actually don't remember. But with even reach and a guy as powerful as Alex Pereira, you also have... I'll get into the mental side a little bit later, but Alex Pereira also already has a couple wins over Israel Adesanya. I just think he's too powerful than all these other fighters that Israel Adesanya is fighting. Eventually, Alex Pereira will hit Adesanya. It's not like Adesanya is not hittable. Alex Pereira will hit Adesanya without a doubt. Smaller gloves. He's probably going to be able to generate a little bit more power. Has become a lot better of a kickboxer since Izzy fought him, which makes this extremely more intriguing. This is Israel Adesanya's way of trying to get this win back of those last two in kickboxing. But again, it seems like Israel Adesanya's fights are getting closer and closer. Like the Marvin Vettori one, he definitely won. He lost the Jan Blachowicz one, but that was at light heavyweight. Vettori was not close, but Adesanya definitely won that fight. But the Whittaker one was close, and the Cannonier one was like super close. I think not a lot of people realize that about the Cannonier fight. When I recapped it, I was like, I saw a lot of people complaining about it, but I think Izzy won the fight, but it was like basically a round, up to a round, in my opinion. But that fight was super close. It just seems like his fights are getting closer. Alex Pereira has some lethal power, can absolutely KO Izzy if he wants to. Not if he wants to, but if he does. But for the way I see these guys winning this fight, so for Alex Pereira, I think he's going to win. So I'm going to discuss how I think he wins this fight. Pereira, I think he needs to be a little bit aggressive here. Get Izzy in a corner because Izzy's going to do what he's doing in all his other fights. Throw feints, jab, and throw leg kicks, basically what it's going to be. He's going to do that. Like I said in my earlier prediction, I think Alex Pereira is going to need to clinch him. Use some of those knees. Clinch him against the cage. Beat on him there. Take a couple of those early rounds. Make Adesanya aggressive. Make Adesanya fight you, basically, is what it's going to have to be. Not stay out of range and things like that. So Pereira needs to close the distance a little bit. I think he's the only guy who will be able to leg kick and jab with Izzy, if that makes kind of sense. They have even reach, so that's basically the reason why I'm saying that. But I think he's the guy that can hit Izzy a little bit more here than his last couple fights against a Whittaker or a Cannonier with similar reach. I think he's going to be able to touch up Izzy, and we know Pereira's power. If he touches you quite a bit, you might go out, or you pretty much will go out. But he'll hold you in the clinch, is what he should do. Hold him in the clinch, take some rounds off of Izzy, make Izzy a little bit panicked and things like that. Make him aggressive, make him have to fight you so you have those little openings that you can KO a guy like Izzy, make him actually want to fight. For Israel Adesanya, basically stay at range, do what you're doing. Stay out of the clinch situation, stay out of close range with Alex Pereira. That's the way I see him winning. Maybe he shoots in and takes down Alex Pereira, but I think his takedown defense against Bruno Silva actually looked pretty well. I'm pretty sure Bruno Silva did take him down, if I remember correctly. But it did look well in there. It didn't look crazy good against Andreas Michailidis, but he did all right there. It did have me worried when I first watched that one, that he was going to get choked out. I was like, damn. But for this one, I think he's training with Glover. His takedown defense is going to get better. His bottom game is going to get better. But have we really seen Adesanya grapple or wrestle? I don't know. He's able to defend those takedowns, but can he do the offensive wrestling and grappling? We have no idea. Well, if we see Adesanya shoot, I think he's losing the fight without a doubt. That's the only way I see him shooting. Maybe first 2 rounds. Like we'll see an Ngannou situation where Pereira wins those first 2 rounds and like Izzy's gonna have to take him down. But I do think Pereira won't get taken down. That's the thing. Again, if we see Izzy shooting takedowns, we know, or at least I know, that he's not comfortable on the feet with Pereira, and he'll probably be losing the fight unless he initially goes for takedowns. But anyways, he's just going to need to stay out of range, leg kick and jab, and throw the feints like he's been doing. But again, with a guy like Alex Pereira, you need to close the distance, take a couple rounds, make Izzy engage with you basically, and win the fight that way. And I think he will. I think Pereira just has that knockout power where if he does touch Izzy, I think he's going to go out. Maybe not KO, maybe TKO to KO, if you get what I'm saying. Like, he drops him. I think, without a doubt, Izzy's going to get hurt in this fight. I think he's going to be like, whoa. That's when you see him shoot for a takedown. I think Pereira stuffs it. And I think Pereira hits him again and TKOs him. But I think Izzy will probably, like, I don't think he'll tap out to it, but I think the refs will probably stop it if he gets knocked down once with Pereira's power and then go after it and stop it there. But he's going to need to close the distance, win the fight that way, take a couple rounds off of Izzy. If he touches Izzy, Izzy's going to feel it without a doubt, and he's eventually going to get hurt. And I just don't trust the idea that Izzy's just not going to get hit in this matchup. Like, obviously, Pereira hits guys, but the odds of him hitting one of those big blows that can really hurt Izzy is up there. Cannonier had a super close fight with him. I thought Whitaker won. A guy like Pereira, if he hits some of those shots that Cannonier and Whitaker were able to hit, I think he has massive amounts more power. Especially, I think even Cannonier, he's way more power than Cannonier. Can shut a dude's lights out. So I'm gonna go with Alex Pereira by like a 4th round KO. I think Izzy's going to be super worried. I think Pereira's going to get those first couple rounds, be able to close the distance with Izzy, outpoint him in those first couple ones. Izzy's going to be a little stressed out. I think Izzy might steal like the 3rd round, but I do think he's going to start engage, get caught, and then just get put out. I don't think he'll get flatlined, but I think he'll get put out, like TKO-wise. And we'll see Alex Pereira win that fight. They'll do the rematch maybe in, I want to say Australia, but I just don't think that's possible, especially if Izzy does get KO'd. But I think they will do the rematch. Izzy does not have really any other contenders. I guess you could argue if Strickland beats Cannonier, you got a contender there. You got some beef there. If Till wins another fight, you could probably throw him in there because I think Adesanya says he wants to do that fight. But Adesanya is running out of contenders, let's be real. And Whitaker, he's going to have to probably win another fight to get, I think it's Whitaker Paulo Costa. So if Whitaker wins that, I guess you get another contender. But Alex Pereira winning this fight wouldn't be a bad thing. There's no contenders there. Get a rematch and buy time there. So that's who I have. That's all I have for this full card prediction. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if you want to join the Tapology group, you can. I'll leave a link down in the description box and you can join there. You have to make an account. If you already have one, you can go in there. I have to accept you into the group. I'm not sure how it really works. Not that I don't know how it works, but I don't know how like the joining process works. I've already accepted a couple people, as you can see, so I don't know if you can just join or not, but you send a thing to join. I'll eventually get it within the invites within like 24 hours, so I'll accept you there. You can see my picks, see other people's picks. I'll probably post a couple things like I said earlier in the video where if we have enough people in there. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. 2 detailed breakdowns on the Adesanya, Pereira, and Michael Chandler and Poirier fight. But again, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.